In this lesson, we're going to create a dashboard and we're going to add reports to that dashboard. So we've created our report here. I don't want us to lose any data. So make sure that you hit save, or you can hit save and run to actually run that report, see what it looks like. Now we're going to go over to the dashboards tab and we're going to create a new dashboard. Now you'll notice this interface before I hit the new button, it looks just like the same interface for reports. It functions the same way. We've got recently viewed dashboards, just like reports. And then you've got a system of folders which can control access to the dashboards in those folders. So click New Dashboard, and you're going to have to give that dashboard a name. So I'll call this Course Dashboard. You give a description if you'd like as well, and then select a folder, making sure to choose a folder that other people have access to. Here's our layout or our editor for the dashboard. It's much simpler than building out different reports. The main button here says plus component. Click on that, and then you'll be able to choose from reports that you've built or other people have built and add them to the dashboard. If you click on all reports on the left, you can then search through them or scroll through those reports you've got in your system, or you can just go with the default, which are recent reports that you've looked at. So under recent, you should see the report that we just built out in the last few lessons. Course Pipeline Report. I'm going to select that and then hit select. This next screen comes up when you add the component, and it's asking you how you want to visualize this report on your dashboard. At the very top, there's a checkbox that says Use Chart Settings from Report. I'm going to check that, and it's just going to import the chart that we already created on our underlying report. So we don't have to go through all that work again of setting up columns versus rows versus pie charts, etc. So I'm going to check that box and then click Add. We just added our report chart to this dashboard. You can then click into it and you'll see these little handles show up around the edges, which lets you resize this chart. We're going to add quite a few more in just a second. But before we hit that plus component button, you can always go back and change the settings for this component by clicking the edit pencil in the upper right of the component itself. Click on edit. And from here, most of our options are grayed out because we're importing those options for the design of the chart from the report we already built. But if you scroll down, you'll see there's still more options you can add. You can add a custom link to it. You can change the title or add a subtitle or footer. These are really, really useful for helping explain what this chart is showing the user. Because if you're building out the reports, I'm sure there's other people in your organization that do not have that context or understanding. So take full advantage of putting a descriptive title and a good subtitle and footer to explain what's happening in this particular chart. You can also change the theme from light to dark. And I recommend using both of these as you build out your dashboard just to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing. We'll leave it light for now. Hit plus component again, and we're going to choose the same report. So here's a good trick. You can add the same report multiple times to your dashboard, and you can visualize it in different ways. So the first time we just used our chart settings from the underlying report, but this time I'm going to choose the big number option. And this is giving us that grand total. What is the total value of our pipeline? All open opportunities. And you can see it's a big green $6.6 million. If you have multiple measures, you can change the measure that's being displayed here. Maybe we don't want to see the total amount of pipeline. Maybe we want to see the total number of opportunities, which is 38. Or we could see the median amount of those opportunities. Looks like we typically have a deal worth about $100,000. I'm going to put that back to sum of amount. If you scroll down a little bit with this particular visualization, and there's a few like this, we've got special settings. We've got 3 different colors, and then you can control when the number changes from red, yellow, or green. So let's say that our annual pipeline goal is $8 million. I'm going to put in 8 million. And now you can see that our actual number of 6.6 million is less than 8 million, but more than 33. If we were to say that the difference between red to yellow was not 33, but 7 million, let's go ahead and add that. You can see now it's red. More likely, probably 5 million would be in the red. And then anything between 5 and 8 million would be, we're getting close. So it's yellow. And then once we're over our goal, we would turn green. And you can change the colors too. You can add additional ranges here, unfortunately, but you can change those colors if you don't like that red, yellow, green approach. I'm going to click add. And this is a really good example where we'd want to change the title because it still has the name of the report as the default title for this component, but we're not just showing course pipeline report. What we're really showing is total pipeline. So I'm going to change that title here. And in the subtitle, I'll write goal is 8 million, just to give people a little more context. Let's hit add component again. We're going to add the same report a third time. And this time, let's look at some of these other visualizations that we can add. We have more options here in the dashboard than we have in the report underneath it. And we've got, of course, bar charts, column charts. We've got the stacked charts as options too. But in addition to that, we have that number that we looked at. We also have a gauge. So this is really good if you've got a specific goal that you're going towards. We've got a funnel. We've got this scatter chart here. And then we also have the ability to insert a table if you want to give extra detail and not just visualize something, but actually pull in some of those columns. You can do that on a dashboard as well. And you can add groups. So if you're using the table, you've got a lot more options here, and it's very similar to building a report. It's just a bit limited compared to all of the report options that you have. I'll skip that for now. I'm going to go back to our gauge chart here, and I'm not going to look at sum of amount. Let's look at record count. And so let's say typically what we want to get is above 30 opportunities. At any time, we want 30 open opportunities. So I'm going to change these settings. So 0 to 20 is red, 20 to 30 is going to be yellow, and then 30 and above would be considered green. So we're at 38 opportunities right now. We're looking pretty good. I'm going to change the title of this component as well. Let's call this number of open opportunities. I think it's a little bit clearer. And then we'll say the goal is greater than 30 and click add. And there we have another component. At this point, I would start trying to rearrange these components to make them just aesthetically pleasing. There's a lot of good data here. We're coming upon, building a useful dashboard. The best takeaway I've got for you at this point is just remember that you can have one report and then you can visualize that data from the report in multiple ways to make it more useful and get to the insights that you want a little bit faster. Once you're happy with your dashboard, hit save in the upper right-hand corner and then click done. That'll do it for this lesson. In the next one, we're going to get into some of the more advanced settings around your dashboards. I'll see you in the next video.